Psalms 23, verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. That's a key verse right there. That's probably where we're going to land this morning. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. The Lord is my shepherd. Is it possible that David is looking back into his youth, trying to describe when God became real? And when God became real, he saw himself in God, and he saw God in himself, and it caused him to become the shepherd that he was. Something in David happened at 13, 14, 15 years old that changed his life, so much so that at the end of his life, he looks back and says, the Lord is my shepherd. I remember when God became real. I remember when I saw God, and it wasn't in the palace. It wasn't outside. It was in the pasture when I was a young man, and I saw myself in God, and it caused me to become a shepherd. I have no reason to have gotten excited about sheep herding. I was anointed king. I was called to something greater. But it wasn't running from that or making that happen that caused me to embrace God or see God. It was seeing God right where I was at that caused me to come alive. When I came alive, nothing could stop me. Man, I was so excited to be a shepherd. I saw myself in God, and what I saw was a faithful shepherd. I saw God's passion for these sheep and for my family and for the musical instruments that I started to build, and I became excited about where I was at. I started to see God where I was at. I just want to float the theory that it's possible that you don't love where you're at because you can't see God where you're at. David looks back on his life and goes, the Lord's my shepherd. Man, I remember when the Lord became my shepherd. In my darkest valley, in the moment that I wanted to get out of, in the moment that I didn't want to be there any longer with a family who didn't believe in me, didn't see me, I didn't want to be there. But the Lord became my shepherd. David points the genesis to him coming alive to the pasture. David is saying, when I started to see God, when I started to experience the manifest presence of God, when the love of God would sweep over me in that pasture, when the voice of God came to me, when heaven began to fall, what I saw was God, and it caused me to come alive right where I was at. The Lord is my shepherd. David's looking back and saying, man, when I started seeing God, I started coming alive. And when I came alive, it made me want to be who I was right then and right there. I gave myself to shepherding because what I saw in God was a shepherd. Not a one day, someday. It was in my today I found out who I was in God.